Hudson, Delilah, and Phoebe, and the paternity question nobody has fully answered. Let us start with the Phoebe situation, because the show has been doing something very deliberate with the question of what Hudson actually is to this baby, and the deliberateness with which it has been handled suggests that the answer we are being pointed toward is not necessarily the correct one. Here is what we know with confidence. Delilah was terrified of something when Chase and Brooke Lynn first found her in distress near the Port Charles waterfront. She was in labor and she was afraid, and the fear was not about the labor, it was about something or someone that she was running from. She died after giving birth. Ethan, who had been connected to Delilah through some kind of job that went wrong, arrived in Port Charles with the intention of helping her and found her already gone. The grief was real. And then Ethan made a decision that reveals everything about what Ethan understood about the situation. He faked being Phoebe's father to enable a closed adoption that would make the baby impossible to trace. That decision, the specific and elaborate effort involved in obtaining a DNA sample from a police cold case file to fake a paternity test, is not what you do when you are simply grieving a friend and trying to honor what she would have wanted. That is what you do when you know that whoever Phoebe's actual biological father is, the consequences of them finding her would be genuinely dangerous to a child. Ethan then caught a glimpse of Hudson in Port Charles and ran. That specific chain of events, see Hudson, panic immediately, leave without explanation, tells you that Ethan understood what Hudson's presence meant and understood it to be a threat serious enough that flight was the only rational response. Hudson tracked Ethan to Norway and attacked him. The conversation that followed is the piece that most needs careful examination. When Ethan told Hudson that Delilah was dead and the baby did not survive, Hudson's reaction was strange. He asked what he was supposed to do now. That is not grief. That is not the response of a father being told his child is gone. It is the response of someone with an assignment that has just lost its object, someone who is tasked with something and is now recalibrating because the information changes the parameters of the task. That response is the most important clue in the entire Phoebe storyline, because it suggests that Hudson is not Phoebe's biological father. A father would not respond that way. A father would feel something different from what Hudson's face showed. An agent or a representative carrying out a mission for someone else, someone who is sent to find the baby and bring it back to the person who claims it, would respond exactly the way Hudson responded. So, who is he working for? The cold case DNA file that Ethan accessed from the Port Charles Police Department is the other significant clue. That DNA existed in a police file because the person who provided it had some kind of history with law enforcement in this town, or at least some history that produced evidence that ended up in a Port Charles case file. Hudson is new to Port Charles. His DNA would not be in a local cold case box. The DNA that Ethan accessed belonged to someone else. Someone the police had reason to keep a sample from. Someone with a prior history here, or with history connected to Port Charles cases. The most dramatically satisfying answer, and soap opera storytelling almost always moves toward dramatic satisfaction, is that Phoebe's biological father is someone the audience knows. Someone who has a history in this world. Someone whose relationship to Delilah, to the kind of job Ethan described going wrong, to the specific danger Delilah was running from fits into a character profile that already exists in the General Hospital universe. Hudson may be that person's fixer. His representative. The person sent ahead to locate the asset, which is an awful way to think about a baby, but is exactly how someone with this kind of agenda would frame it, before the principal party makes their own move. Hudson gathering information rather than expressing grief when Jocelyn told him Delilah's story is completely consistent with the behavior of someone doing reconnaissance rather than processing connection. This matters enormously for Brooke Lynn and Chase, because the threat to Phoebe is not simply Hudson wanting a child he has feelings for. It may be someone far more dangerous than Hudson, using Hudson as an advanced scout, who has a claim to Phoebe that is rooted in something sinister enough that Delilah was running from it when she died. The closed adoption that was supposed to protect Phoebe was designed to stop exactly this kind of search. Jocelyn's innocent disclosure has potentially undone that protection. And the person whose protection that adoption was designed to provide is now in more danger than the people around her know. Port Charles needs to figure out who Hudson is actually working for, because the answer to that question determines how serious this threat actually is. Brennan tells Nina the truth and Nina does the thing Nina always does. Now let us talk about the most frustrating and most human scene of the week, because watching Nina hear the best advice she has received all summer and immediately dismiss it as one of those soap opera moments that is simultaneously infuriating and completely inevitable. Brennan has genuine feelings for Nina. That much has been established across the summer with real care. The chemistry between them is not manufactured. It is the specific warmth of two people who found each other unexpectedly and discovered that unexpected connection contains something real. When Brennan gives Nina advice, it is not the advice of someone managing a situation. It is the advice of someone who does not want to watch a person he cares about walk into consequences they could avoid. Nina summoned him because Nina wanted him to dig up dirt on Michael that could be used to get Willow out of the Quartermaine gatehouse situation. She was playing her usual role, the one she has been playing all summer, of the person who will do whatever is necessary to protect Willow from the consequences of Willow's choices. Brennan shut her down. Not harshly. Not with the cold institutional authority of the WSB chief, declining a request. With the specific directness of someone who has watched this pattern long enough to see where it ends. He told her to pull back from Willow's life. He told her that what she calls helping is enabling. He told her that continuing to do this, continuing to insert herself into every crisis Willow creates and absorb the consequences alongside her, is going to cost Nina everything. He was right. He is completely correct about every piece of the diagnosis. Nina enabling Willow has produced a summer full of terrible decisions that both of them will eventually have to account for. Willow would not have been injecting Drew with paralytic drugs without Nina's involvement. Nina would not have pushed Drew into the lake without the specific combination of her own panic and the pressure she had absorbed from protecting Willow. And Willow, who blackmailed Nina at one point, has repeatedly demonstrated that her loyalty to her mother is conditional on Nina being useful. Brennan knows this. He knows it because Nina was vulnerable with him during one specific night when her defenses were down. The night at the bar when the bourbon and the proximity produced the kind of honesty that people do not usually allow themselves in better-guarded moments. She told him things that night that she would not have told anyone else. And what she told him revealed everything about the specific dynamic that has been consuming her. But Nina did not want to hear it. She thanked him for the input and then received a message from Willow and left to go to the gatehouse. What she found when she got there is the specific illustration of everything Brennan was trying to warn her about. Willow told Nina that Kai had quit, a direct consequence of the affidavit situation and Willow's reaction to it. Willow expressed something that functioned as regret about how things had escalated with Michael. And Nina, instead of taking that regret as the opening to say something honest and supportive about Willow needing to genuinely recalibrate, did the thing Nina always does. She propped Willow up. She reminded her daughter that she is a congresswoman with power. She validated the position that Willow has been taking rather than the position that Brennan was trying to push Nina toward, which is the position of a mother who loves her daughter enough to tell her the truth. The mother and daughter dynamic at the center of this storyline is the most powerful thing about it. Nina's love for Willow is genuine. It is not a performance, and it is not a manipulation. She truly loves this person she found late in her life, and she would do almost anything to protect her. But Brennan is right that genuine love can also be a blind spot. And Nina's blind spot for Willow, her inability to see clearly how dangerous Willow has become and how dangerous continued proximity to that danger is for Nina herself, is the blind spot that is going to cost her. Willow would throw Nina under the bus. That is not a theory about Willow's character at this point. It is one of the most well-established facts about who Willow has been this summer. She has demonstrated, repeatedly, that when the situation requires it, she will sacrifice the people around her for the outcome she needs. She blackmailed Nina. She used Nina's involvement to create the specific conditions where Nina's fingerprints on those syringes became the most convenient possible liability. If Willow ever reaches the point where offering Nina to investigators is the thing that saves Willow, Nina is going to be offered. Brennan knows this. He tried to tell her. She went to the gatehouse to support the person who will eventually betray her. The tragedy of this situation is that Nina's loyalty is not wrong as an instinct. Loyalty is generally a virtue. The specific application of that loyalty to Willow in this situation, at this level of involvement, is what is going to cost her. And when it does, the advice she received and dismissed is going to ring in her ears with the specific clarity of something you only understand when it is too late to act on. The bigger picture and what the week is building toward. And now let us look at the larger landscape, because both the Phoebe situation and the Nina situation are part of the same larger story the summer has been telling, which is about what happens when the people who could stop something from going wrong choose not to.